Hi guys, welcome back. In this video, we are going to look at list operations in Python. In my last video, I talked about tuples, which is an immutable data type. In comparison, lists are mutable, which means you can change the original list without creating a copy. First, let's start with an empty list. Now A becomes this, a list without elements. Of course, you can create a list with some elements already in there. Like tuples, the elements of a list do not have to be of the same type. And you can even declare a list whose elements are computed from elements of another list. This formula here is an example of list comprehension, which is a very powerful functional feature in Python. I'll talk about list comprehension in greater detail in an upcoming video. Now, let's look at the operations we can do to lists. Let's start with a new list. And we can append a single element. We can also append a tuple. And we can append a whole new list. Let's see what A becomes now. So it takes in all the appended elements. But please note that when we append a tuple or another list to a list, the elements of the tuple or another list do not get blended in the existing elements of the original lists. What happened here is that the tuple or another list itself becomes an element to the original lists. To merge the elements of a tuple or list to another list, we can do this. Let's start afresh with just a single element, and we extend with a tuple like this. And A becomes this. The tuple just gets dissolved, and these elements are blended into the original lists. We can even extend A with a list of different data types. Now A becomes this. You can experiment appending different data types to A yourself. And similar to tuples, lists can contain duplicate elements. To count the number of appearances of an element in the list, we do to get the index of an element in the list, we do. Let's do 4 first. Okay, so the index of 4 is 4. This is a coincidence because 4 here does occupy the 4th position in this list. You can see here, when an element appears in the list multiple times, like the case 2 here, only the first occurrence is returned by index. To retrieve an element from a list, do a pop, and B now has 4. How about A? A becomes only 1, 2, 3 because the last element is popped off and removed. We can also pop an element at a position. Now B is lists because list is at position 1, and A, you can guess, becomes only Python operations. Another way to remove an element is to do removing the elements directly. Now A only just becomes operations. Different from pop, remove does not return the removed element. You can reverse the order of the elements in the lists. For example, we have a list of elements in the ascending order, right? Let's just reverse. Now A becomes this. Pretty handy, huh? You can sort the elements in the lists with, for example, we have a list whose elements are in this order. And let's sort A, and A now becomes this. And the elements now are in the ascending order. To sort the elements in the descending order, we can do this. Let's just put A back into disorder. Sort, and we turn on the reverse flag, and A now becomes a list of elements in the descending order. To clear the lists, we do. Now A becomes empty list again. You can use Python's built-in functions like, let's just redefine a list, very short, and we find the minimum in this list, which is 2, max, which is 5. And you can sum up the elements with sum, which is 10. To multiply all the elements in the list of numbers, we need to first import the prod class from the math package. And now we can do this. We just multiply the elements in the lists. It gets 30. And the prod class is a new feature introduced in Python 3.8. It allows you to multiply elements in a collection, no matter it's a list or a tuple, or even the keys of a dictionary with suitable data types. You may play around a little later. And to find the length of a list, we do this. And you can even do this with a list of strings. You can do min on A. And it gets you Python. Because the string, the list starts with Python, whose first letter is in the capital P, which comes before L, O, and S in the Unicode set. So Python is returned as the min. And when we do max A, it returns should be string, right? Because S comes after P, L, O in the Python Unicode set. By the way, you can use the plus sign to concatenate two lists. Let's just directly do B. Integers. Now let's just concatenate A and B with a plus sign, and C becomes Python list of strings and integers. Or you can use the asterisk sign to duplicate the elements of lists within the lists. Let's do A multiplied by 2, and C now becomes, you see, 2 repetitions of Python list of strings here. Lastly, let's look at Python's sorted function. Just now I introduced the sort function. What's the difference? The greatest difference between these two is that sorted returns a sorted copy of the original lists, while sort just changed the original list without creating a copy. We define A to and let's sort A. Now A becomes this. How about sorted? Let's shuffle A back into its original order. And let's do and now B is like this. But A remains this. However, sort and sorted can do much more than just that. You can sort lists whose elements are collections themselves according to the given keys and flags. At this point, we just use sorted to test out an example program. You may modify the program to test sort yourself. Here's a program. That asks the user to make a choice on how to sort and print out a list of tuples. The program starts by importing the item getter class from the operator package to use the item getter method from the item getter class. It then defines a method called print menu. The body of the method consists of a menu list containing several strings and a for loop to print the strings in the menu list. Under the print menu method definition is a stock info list defined at the global scope with some tuples whose elements are the sticker symbols and prices of some stocks. Here, the print menu method gets called to display the menu. And the quit variable is declared and initialized to 7. This value of the variable will be used in multiple places in the program later. Then comes a while loop with a conditional expression. Inside the conditional expression, a variable choice is defined and used thanks to the walrus operator introduced in my last video on tuples. The choice variable receives the return value from the input function, which takes user inputs from keyboards with an optional string argument. Inside the while loop is an if, elif, and else statement. The if and elif statements here each tests a condition with a comparison expression, which evaluates either to true or false. The value of the choice variable is compared against the strings 1, 2, 3, and so on to decide what action to take. What makes the method call in each if and elif elements unique is the appearance of the key and reverse optional arguments and their values. The key and reverse are called optional arguments because they can be implicitly included with predefined values, like in the cases of 1, 2, 3, and 6. You can see what arguments is implicitly included from the comments above each method call. In the case of choice equals 3, both key and reverse arguments are missing because key has the default value of key equals item getter 0, 1, and reverse has the default value of false. The key is provided here for the method to sort the elements of the lists by comparing the items specified by key. For example, when the item getter 0, 1 method is called, here 0 and 1 are its arguments which fetch both elements of each tuple in the stock info lists. To sort the tuples in the list, the sorted method compares the first element of each tuple, which is the sticker symbol. When the sticker symbol is found to be the same, it then compares the second element in each tuple, which is the stock price. Okay, let's run the program. So you can see when you enter 3, the stock info list contains the sorted tuples whose first elements are put on the alphabetical order. When the first elements are found to be the same, it compares the second elements and puts them in the ascending order, like in the case of Apple here, right? These two are the same, so it sorts the prices and put them in the ascending order. And these are the same with Amazon and Google. When only 0 or 1 is provided to the item getter, like in the case of choices equals 1 or 2, and also 4 and 5. The sorted method only compares the first or second element of each tuple and sorts the list based on the result of the comparisons. Let's try 1. Here in the results, you can see that the lists sorted the sticker symbols of the tuples alphabetically. If we enter 2, here in the results, you can see the lists sorted by the prices of the tuples in the ascending order. When the reverse parameter is explicitly assigned a true value and passed into the sorted function, like in the case of 4 and 5 and 6, the returned copy of the list will be sorted in the reverse order, like in the case of, in the 3 cases. Let's just try number 6. So you can see this list now is in the reverse order. And since I just chose 6, when there are identical sticker symbols, the prices are put in the descending order, like in the case of Meta, Google, Amazon, and Apple. So everything is reversed if you choose 6. Okay, here this branch of if, elif, else statements deals with the case quit. It simply uses the break statement to stop the while loop. And lastly, the else branch deals with any inputs that is none of the above choices. It tells the user this is an invalid choice, prints the menu again for the user to start all over, and use continue to skip the rest of the loop. We'll talk about the break and the continue statements in an upcoming video. Okay, now let's go to the last section of the while loop. This section just prints out the elements of the sorted stocks lists. Here we declare a count variable and initialize it to 0. In the for loop, the print function prints out each stock in the sorted stocks list. The optional parameter end here puts the specified ending character, which is a space, at the end of the printed item. And the count variable is incremented at each round of the loop by 1, and count plus 1 modulo 3 is checked against 0 to print an empty line after 4 stocks are printed. This is done to make the printed stock data look neater. Okay, let's try quit. Before that, let's just try something that's not in the menu. Okay, it shows you the invalid choice message. And lastly, let's just quit. Okay, guys, that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give me a like. Welcome to subscribe my channel for more interesting stuff about Python. See you next time. Okay, guys, that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please give me a like. Welcome to subscribe my channel for more interesting stuff about Python. See you next time.